It's 7 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order and start with the pledge.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approve the agenda. Are there any changes?
No, Madam Acting Mayor.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Motion by Kate, second by Amanda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's adopted. We'll move to presentation, proclamations, and acknowledgements. We have the swearing in of Officer Chase Meisner.
Thank you, Council. You all know Chase. He joined us in January and completed his field training in April. That means he graduated from being a trainee to now being a baby cop. So once you become a baby cop, well, in his case, then it's time to formally acknowledge him. So that's why we're here. Chase was born and raised in Wisconsin. Boo. But we won't hold that against him too much. He played sports, including baseball, hockey, and soccer. He was also in the band and choir, so a bit of an overachiever. He did finally come to his senses, and he moved to Minnesota. And he worked in retail security, where he met his beautiful wife, Becca, back here. And together they have three stepchildren, Ellie, Addie, and Stephen, and their son, Motley, and they're all here today. And I found out the other day, and he scored some serious points with me, that Motley is named after Motley Crue, one of the world's greatest rock bands. So, just saying. Chase went on to receive his associate's degree from Rasmussen University. And if I didn't say, he met his wife, Becca, working at security at Target. That's where they met. During his off time, he likes to read and collect books, play chess, and he enjoys the great outdoors. And he and Becca together are starting up an Amazon business to sell used books online. Apparently that's a bit of a battle. He's been a great officer for us so far, and I believe that he has a very bright future here. Without further ado, let's get him sworn in. Stand over here.
Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Chase Meisner,
Do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution,
do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution,
laws, and ordinances,
laws, and ordinances,
and faithfully perform my duties as police officer.
and faithfully perform my duties as a police officer.
Never betray my badge or the public trust.
Never betray my badge or public trust.
Have the courage to and will
Have the courage to and will
hold myself and others accountable.
hold myself and others accountable.
Promote the vision and mission of the department.
Promote the vision and mission of the department.
Provide fair and impartial law enforcement.
Provide fair and impartial law enforcement.
Practice community values-based policing.
Practice community values-based policing.
Serve with pride, integrity, and excellence.
Serve with pride, integrity, and excellence.
And provide quality service to the best of my ability.
And provide quality service to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congrats.
Thank you.
That was excellent.
And I'll have you sign here.
And I get to leave you all with him and the family to go have cupcakes. And Josh, there is cake in the other room over here for you, so.
Can we get a picture of the chief with our new officer? And maybe our sergeant? Maybe our other officer? Maybe representation of our county law enforcement?
Told you I'd rock a curtsy.
Pretend you want to be there, Josh.
I always want to be here.
There.
Thank you, everybody.
And with that, we'll move into public comment. Is anyone here for public comment?
Gene Mager, excuse me, 41 West Lewis Street. I lived there for 49 years. I haven't been here for a while, I hope you missed me, but I do read your agendas and I do watch most of your videos. They are hard to hear, but anyway. I did get this and I do read it every time. It's good, you know what newsletter. It's good to try to educate people. But there is a big mistake in here, and I wanted to bring it up. Okay. And it pertains to golf carts. And it says juveniles under the age of 16 may not operate an ATV or golf cart on city streets unless accompanied by adults. That's not true. 16 and older, you have to have a driver's license. This talks about under 16. 15, you have to have a learner's permit and have an adult with you. You can't be 12 years old with your brother 18 years and drive a golf cart. So this is wrong, and it should be corrected. You shouldn't have misinformation out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? All right, we'll move to the consent agenda. Does anyone like to pull any of the items? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Kate, second by Josh. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda is adopted. We will move into public hearings. We have a We have a public hearing for Mega Properties LLC on sale intoxicating and Sunday sale liquor licenses located at 26350 France Avenue. I'm gonna go ahead and open the public hearing at 7:07 PM. If there's anyone here to speak on this. Nope. We'll close it at 7:07 PM and take a motion to approve Resolution 2633 approving a new liquor license for Mega Properties LLC in the city of Elko, New Market.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Kate, second by Amanda. All those in favor?
Just a quick question, under discussion, quick. So with this too, are we still running into any compliance issues or anything with the property as a whole? I mean, this would seem like a decent point to point out that making sure that they're in compliance with not just, I mean, this is liquor license, so separate, but, you know, have they posted their schedule yet? Have they done what they need to do in other areas of their business?
At this point, the only violation of the ordinance related to the property that we are aware of is they have not yet provided the city with their schedule for the season, which they're required to do by April 1st. We have a letter going out on that,
Today, it was drafted today.
drafted today, requesting that they provide this with that information immediately.
Okay. I mean, I was just gonna hold some leverage for a second, but, I mean, assuming that they'll comply and assuming that they'll continue to follow things in a compliant sort of way, that would be great. I mean, but this is a point where we could say, get your stuff in if you want the license.
I don't know that we would have that leverage on, with regards to withholding the liquor license.
Right, you don't.
Okay,
You need to
It's
take
separate
code
and
enforcement
distinct.
action, yeah.
Yep.
okay. Well, fair enough. Point was made, so.
We have a motion by Kate and a second by Amanda. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, resolution passes. On to general business, discussion on the moratorium on a data center.
Yeah, I can take this, just kind of run through basically the information that was in the memo. I want to give a little background on a data center. What a data center is, it's generally defined as a facility that stores data. And data centers, they house network equipment, servers, coolers, chillers, generators. And the city's zoning ordinance currently does not identify data centers as a distinct use, and therefore, we don't have any standards specifically related to data centers, and in absence of specific standards and a specific definition, my opinion would be that they are a warehouse. If a data center wanted to come in, they would be considered a warehouse. So where a warehouse is permitted, they would be permitted, provided we could supply them with water. Then warehouse and distribution are permitted uses in the city's I-1, I-2, and B6 zoning districts. Park I-35 is zoned I-1. And with the increased interest in locating data centers in Minnesota, or there has been due to our naturally cool climate and greater availability of groundwater than in other areas of the country. And also, we have more robust electric than in some areas of the country. Data centers can have positive impacts and negative impacts on communities. Economic impacts, positive impacts are economic. They create significant tax revenue. They can create really high-paying jobs and spur additional development. The environmental impacts of data centers, which include significant water use, significant energy use, and continuous or intermittent noise. There are some of the environmental or the potentially negative impacts, and there's really few studies available that really give a comprehensive environmental impact on data centers. So we're just suggesting as staff at this point that we adopt, or that the city council adopt a moratorium. Minnesota statute allows cities to adopt interim ordinances, or more commonly referred to as a moratorium, to allow time to examine the impacts of certain land uses. And implementing a moratorium on data centers would allow the city to pause any potential activity on data centers and allow staff time to study the potential impacts of data centers and more appropriately implement zoning regulations to address any potential impacts. A moratorium may restrict or prohibit development for up to 1 year. So to ensure a more comprehensive understanding of development of data centers within our city while ensuring that data centers don't interfere with other land uses or have negative impacts on the environment, public health, safety, and welfare, staff is recommending adoption of ordinance that was included in your packet. If the city council chooses to adopt the moratorium on data centers, staff, along with consultants, will study the matter and make recommendations to the city council regarding reasonable restrictions and on the operation of data centers, which would be included in our zoning ordinance. And we are currently working with a consultant, WSB, to assist us in this matter.
Any questions or discussion?
I mean, I completely agree with the moratorium in this area, just because, I mean, there's a lot of, like, things to be learned and things like that. Do we have a cost that this is gonna cost the city to do what we need to do to actually study and better understand and whatever, and not just put a more, you said, I mean, there's things that we have to do, and we're going to do them. Do we have an estimated cost of what that's gonna cost us from time and resources and consultant costs and things like that?
Nope. We've simply turned it over to WSB and asked them to research it. And what their research is finding initially that I wasn't particularly concerned because we simply don't have the water. Should a data center come in that doesn't use as much water, what our consultant is finding is that there still may be a potential noise nuisance issue. That seems to be one of the next biggest complaints, is just a constant hum that doesn't go away. So we want to better understand that. I don't have a cost for you. It's a time and materials assignment under their contract.
No, but it sounds like we're actually gonna do something with it, not just slap a moratorium on because everybody else is, and just wait for other people to do the work and whatever, so.
we've already engaged a consultant when it was brought up, I think, at one of our previous council meetings, by a resident. After the council meeting, Councilmember Timmerman asked about this. We immediately engaged a WSB to study it.
Yeah, the council directed staff to look into the issue, so.
And then maybe just a process, we can only do a moratorium at one time, right? So up to 1 year, we couldn't get to a year and then wait a week and then come back and do another year. I mean, it's a one and done.
No, it's not intended to be a workaround to ban or hold out a particular use. It's really just so that you have time to do your due diligence to make sure you have the appropriate mechanisms in place to properly address or work with a particular land use. And that's already underway. This is just an abundance of caution. And if our work is done before the 1 year is done, then we would repeal the moratorium.
When zoning regulations are established, we would recommend repealing it.
And my question related to that or follow-up then is, I mean, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. I mean, if we decided, like, because if we don't have anything potential, you know, we could extend that clock of that moratorium, but not implementing it now. But then we run the risk of somebody sending in an application or, you know, expressing interest in wanting to put something in, and then now we can't. But, you know, my thought is, do we have to jump on the moratorium right this second? Buy time and then do it in 3 months, 6 months, and now it's essentially an 18-month moratorium.
So right now, data centers, if they're using the more traditional approach, they use a significant amount of water. So regardless of what the zoning says, if we are unable to supply the water to that user, there's a practical barrier. But as Renee indicated, if they are using a closed loop system, which uses a lower volume of water, or they're using an alternative cooling system, or it's like chemical cooling or something like that, and there are indications that because of the concerns related to water consumption associated with these uses, the industry is actually moving that direction. There's a number of indications of that. They could come in if they're locating in, for instance, Park I-35, they could just pull a building permit. So that could happen at any point in time. So the recommendations basically out of an abundance of caution to make sure that we have appropriate regulations in place to address any potential nuisance elements at this time. The thought being that once those regulations are in place, they're another business that's coming to town as long as those nuisance issues are adequately addressed.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it. I just don't think it needs, whether we need to jump on it all over. I mean, this is not an environment that I'd walk into Minnesota and say, I want to open up a data center. With our friends in St. Paul, you know, debating this, talking about this, I just, you know, I think we're probably covered for a bit of time here. But I also get it. But I don't want to set the false whatever perception to the community is, all right, we got more time. Well, it only lasts for a year, folks. And then after a year, we're going to have something in place, and then they can come in. So.
Yeah, there's nobody knocking on our door
Yeah.
right now, so.
I'll entertain a motion if someone wants to make it, or we could consider potentially delaying if we want to at least wait for a full council.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 345, prohibiting the location, establishment, and operation of data centers in the city of Elko, New Market. And I will adopt summary ordinance number 346 regarding prohibiting the location, establishment, and operation of data centers in the city of Elko, New Market.
I will second both of those ordinances.
Motion by Amanda, second by Kate. All those in favor?
I
Opposed? All right, it carries, and then we'll move into 26-518 France Avenue property appraisal.
Awesome. So I'll be taking this item. I have just a short presentation for you guys. It's a little bit of its repeat, so I'll cruise right through. Did you say 3? Maybe. No, I don't think so. Maybe, I don't know. All right, so as Acting Mayor said, we are discussing the property line appraisal of 26518 France Avenue over at the old PD building at Elko Baseball Field. So this discussion was prompted as part of a larger conversation regarding what the city wants to do with the old police department building. One of the recommendations that came from that work group was to allow Elko Baseball the opportunity to move the property line. At the January 22nd meeting of the City Council, we discussed this topic, and you directed staff to research cost considerations for both the city and Elko Baseball as it relates to this potential change. The graphic shown on the slide outlines the parcel that the city owns in red, and you can see that that line intercepts the baseball field and that there are multiple structures owned by Elko Baseball located within city property. The recommendation was led by Elko Baseball representative as part of that work group for the old PD, Brad Frederickson. We have Terry in the house tonight, so thank you for being here. Elko Baseball would like to reconfigure the property line to fully encompass their field and their structures. So this slide shows both the current alignment and the proposed alignment of the property line. The current line is shown in red on the image on the top right, and the proposed reconfiguration of the line is shown on the image on the bottom left. The location of the proposed property line was decided on by staff because it's the most and only logical location for it. The proposed location would allow Elko Baseball to have the entirety of the field, along with all their structures on their property, while having the old PD building, historic Elko Park, and the well house remain on city-owned property. The image on this slide illustrates the subject property. So the approximately 0.8 acre piece of land depicted in purple there is what Elko Baseball has interest in potentially purchasing from the city. And this image helps illustrate the structures on the property. So the highlighted line on the graphic represents the current property line, and as you can see, a portion of the ball field, bleachers, backstop, dugout, deck, concession stand, and grandstand all sit on city property. All structures are owned by Elko Baseball, with the exception of the concession stand, which was formerly used as a shelter by the city of Elko. The structure was converted to a concession stand after the city of Elko stopped renting the shelter out to the public. The only reason this is relevant to this discussion is because the former shelter would be considered a public asset and included in the sale price. So there are multiple processes and documents that would be required to facilitate and implement this reconfiguration. So this slide shows the price estimates for the city. There's a question mark behind the consultant cost because I'm unsure, staff is unsure whether this cost would be incurred by the city or by Elko Baseball. So staff will be asking for clarification on that as part of the council's recommendation tonight. The total quantifiable cost to the city as shown there is $4,000 maximum, provided the council decides to foot the bill of the consultant. So this slide shows the price estimates for Elko Baseball. I'm just going to go through the list. So the appraisal fair market value of the 0.8 acres to be determined, certificates of survey, legal description creation, 2D topo, roughly $12,450. Purchase agreement prepared by that city attorney, $1,000. Administrative subdivision fee, $250. Variance fees, which are needed for the administrative lot split that would produce nonconformities. Those nonconformities are variances to the structures that are too close to property lines. So $250 plus $1,000 escrow. And then document preparation fees, including deeds and easements, roughly $3,000. This price could be a little inflated considering that Elko Baseball could potentially amend their license agreement instead of getting an ingress and egress easement in order to access their property. Potential title commitment fees, roughly $800. This is optional for Elko Baseball, but probably recommended. And then closing costs and recording fees. So 3 deeds and an easement, $184, plus the state deed tax, which is $3.30 per $1,000 of the purchase price, which is unknown. So the estimated total cost to Elko Baseball is $18,934, excluding the state deed tax and the cost of the actual land.
Brandon,
Yeah.
that price does not include the appraisal, correct?
Yes, correct. That does not include the $4,000 appraisal. So staff is asking the city council to provide direction regarding whether to proceed with contracting a property appraisal company to provide a fair market value for the subject property. Due to the complex and unique nature of this property, there's really only one company that's recommended to provide a reasonable fair market value, and that company is Patch Mesner Valuation Counselors. And then follow up, the council is also being asked for direction on who's going to incur the cost and whether the city should proceed with the next step, which would be retaining Patch Mesner Valuation Counselors to give us a valuation. And I'll leave that on the screen. With that, I'll open for discussion. Thank you.
I don't know if there's anything you'd like to say as well as the representative of Elko Baseball.
it seems like the price for the survey and stuff is way out of line. Everything else looks like it's pretty good, but I don't know why the survey, what was on that survey and what else, why that would cost $12,000. As far as appraisal, I think we'd be happy to pick up the appraisal to see where this could go to, you know? I think we'd have to do the appraisal before we could go any further, really.
Sure. I got that number from Bolton and Mink, their survey expert. So I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on it. I'm not. It might be high, but what I can tell you is that that's due to there's 2 properties existing, then there would be a third created. If you have anything you could clarify with that, Luke, I'd appreciate it, but.
I can add to
Yeah,
that.
I mean, there's field work as well as office work associated with going out and identifying all the features, shooting everything, taking it back, drafting it all up, and then coming up with all the descriptions, everything like that. I'm not a surveyor myself, but
Yeah, one additional need for the survey is all the buildings will need to be located on the survey. Yeah, and maybe it will come in a little less, but that was just an estimate that BMI had given us. But for the variance, we need to know exactly where all the buildings are located and how far off the property lines they are proposed.
And we do have surveys that show all that already.
Okay. Yeah, we were on
He has them and we have them. I mean,
we had a small scan. It wasn't a full survey that we forwarded, and then they'll have to evaluate the.
As a matter of fact, Bolton Mink did it for us for almost nothing about 30 years ago, I believe it was. Put all that together.
Okay.
So that's probably in their records. I mean, I just don't want to duplicate costs that we don't have to duplicate. You know?
Sure.
Yeah, and I know what you're referring to, and yes, they did the work, but I consulted with them. Everything we have, everything they have, that we are aware of that, and that was a consideration in creating this estimate.
Is there a reason we can't use the previous survey to save everyone money, or?
We'll be surveying our property as well, and then they'll be creating a legal description for the piece that would be transferred, and then they'll be creating two new legal descriptions, one for our new parcel and one for their new parcel. The piece that would be transferred has to be combined with the piece that they own.
In a sense, you're creating a mini plat that because it has existing improvements that are being clearly documented. So this is more than just going out and locating the property lines on a single-family home property. There's quite a bit more field work and also additional office work that needs to be done, because it's ultimately going to be part of a legal document, so.
I guess my next question would be, Terry, how do you feel about us moving forward with that kind of price tag already? Do you think that's something that your guys are gonna be able to entertain?
I do think we need to have an appraisal on the property to see if we want to move forward with the rest of it.
Okay,
I mean, that would only be fair, right?
Yeah.
That would be the first thing we would do anyhow, right? I mean,
Yeah, they need to know what, it's gonna
Yeah.
cost. And, if it's $1 million, they may say, well, we're okay with that.
What
And
are
if
we
it's
talking
$5,
about?
that might be a different story.
0.08 acres, is that what we're talking about? 0.8. Yeah. And nothing's gonna change up there, it's always gonna be a park. If Elko baseball goes away, it's going back, it's gonna go to the city, I mean, there's nowhere else to go with it. Property, the ballpark and whatnot, but I think we should move forward with the appraisal and then we can go from there.
So if the council wanted to move forward with conducting the appraisal, what we would do is we would collect escrow from the ball team for the $4,000, and then we would charge back to that escrow whatever it actually costs. That's just the max that Brandon got from Patch and Messner. And then we would get the appraisal completed, and I think as Terry indicated, we'd go from there. We'd return to the council with that information and provide that information to Terry, and the ball team can decide then because everything else is, you don't
If
need
that
to do.
goes through,
Yeah.
then,
No.
then.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Is that enough direction for staff? We don't need a formal motion or anything?
Um,
I would recommend a
formal motion.
So,
Council would be making a motion to work with the ball team to collect an escrow for appraisal of the property that would potentially be sold, and authorize the council to retain Patch and Messner to complete such work.
So moved.
Second.
motion by Josh, second by Kate. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We'll move into reports now, administration.
I don't have anything specific for council, unless council has any questions for me.
Public Works.
Corey didn't have anything specific that he wanted me to report, so if there's any questions I might be able to answer, I can forward it to Corey for a subsequent response to council.
And then Police Department. Chief Bell has not returned, so.
Busy
Too busy
eating
eating
cake.
cake and cupcakes.
Engineering, Luke.
There's an update in your packet. Happy to share a story if anybody wants to hear one, but.
Always.
Oh, well, it was just like yesterday, I was on Facebook Marketplace, like to poke around every once in a while, look for vehicles, and a DeLorean came up, and this thing was sweet, like it was mint. Said it was low miles, perfect condition, so I called the guy, and he said, yeah, it only gets driven from time to time.
So bad.
But yeah, if anybody has any questions on the update, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions? Nope. Community development.
Just updates related to two plats, and you approved the Highlands at Eagle View Second Edition final plat. They do plan to begin construction almost immediately. So we're having a pre-construction meeting next week. You'll probably see some dirt start moving under their existing grading permit, maybe late next week. And we have been informed that the plat to the east of that, which Joe Sullivan had carried through preliminary plat approval, that they are preparing final construction plans for that development and hope to be under construction this year, pending any unforeseen circumstances. That is the marching order to their engineer. And Joe will not be developing it. It will be another developer.
Also, Craig, Chief Bell and I today completed the citywide sweep. So we went around and looked at every house and every yard and saw what we could from the street, common code violations. So I'll be sending out all those letters tomorrow. I think it was roughly like 75,
Anybody in this room?
maybe. No, I don't. I really don't know. I really don't know. I'm not sure. So you'll know on Monday. So yeah, that was nice. It was less than I expected, but I'll bring back a recap at a future meeting and show that compared to past years.
Thank you.
Any updates on the two lots next to the clubhouse? Where the pool is, any movement there? Are we gonna go another summer with a green, moldy, stinky pool?
Is there water in it?
Oh, it's just disgusting.
I think there was.
Yeah. It does. Probably has sounds in it.
That seems
Yeah.
like a health hazard.
I thought at one point we asked him to empty it because it was a hazard,
We've
gets
asked them to
filthy.
dewater it multiple times.
and he still doesn't.
Rain and, yeah.
It rains and it fills up. They're thinking about moving the bathroom facility to a spot on the golf course instead of just tearing it down.
Can we ask him just to fill in the pool for now, so it doesn't keep filling up with water?
Fill it with water?
No, fill it up with dirt.
Oh, no, they're gonna keep, the pool is gonna stay, and it's gonna be on one of the single-family lots, so one of the new homes will have a pool.
Okay.
I didn't.
Anything from Parks?
Yeah, we had our monthly parks meeting last night. We had a member, Matt Finnegan from Finnegan Playscapes, presents some concept plans on Highlands at Eagle View Park, which is planned for construction this year. So the commission came to agreement on various components of the play structure and the layout of the park. So it was a good productive meeting, and we're moving forward with the recommendations given by them.
We may need to come back to the council and get authorization for the budget as we're getting into it. We believe that the actual cost of development is gonna exceed what you guys have in the approved capital outlay. We can accommodate it within the overall funds, but technically it's exceeds the budget. So we'll need the council approval for that if that ends up being the case.
We're trying to cut costs as much as we can, but it's unlikely we'll be able to reach that 182,000 number that was originally adopted.
I didn't know if this was Public Works or Parks, but, so the porta potties there in Boulder Heights, maybe a slight little nudge or reminder to all the construction guys to, I'm sure they like the big one that is more room to spread out and stuff, but there's been a lot of mud and junk in there, and I know that several folks have brought that up, at times, so. And they have porta potties up by their actual work and stuff, but it seems like they probably like the cleaner, nicer, bigger ones, so.
CCEC.
Meeting is next week.
Perfect. Scale.
Executive committee meeting is tomorrow morning. I am off tomorrow, Amanda, but I'm tentatively planning on still showing up. And then service, then we have the notes from the last meeting, I believe, are included in your packet. And then we have service delivery committee meeting on Monday. The primary topic, surprise, is insurance consortium. We'll be getting an update from the consultant that's currently working on it. They'll be looking for feedback from everybody of whether or not they're on the bus or not at this point, and if they haven't made that decision, when would they? Because the clock is ticking from a cycle standpoint to implement this January 1st if it pans out. The other item that we will have to look at and offer an opinion on is the governance documents, and I got them just less than 48 hours ago, so they clearly did not meet this packet. So that is an item that will likely be on the next one or two council meetings for us to take a look at and provide feedback on that, or get a blessing that we're okay with it. We'll be giving feedback informally at a staff level on Monday, so there may be a revision between now and then.
When did you say the service delivery was? That's
Monday.
a Monday?
Yep.
Sorry, I'm,
And I-35, Renee and I were at the meeting this morning. We heard from MnDOT updates about Highway 13, 35 and 50, and us. So nice to have some representation finally after hearing a lot about transportation and other issues that don't necessarily impact us. But kind of hearing some rumors and good news that there might be some allocation in the bonding bill for maybe 1.5 million for the engineering plan, maybe.
We have no idea. It's all a secret at this point, but
So-
I think it's really touch and go up with the legislature with the bonding bill, so.
Fingers crossed. Hope for the best.
Yeah.
And I bumped into their lobbyist up there, it might have been this morning, I think. So just, so the 13 thing, so the original ask was 68 million, and then they were told or needed to skinny it down to 40-something million. And they may not even get that at this point, but what's at risk is like a $78 million thing coming from feds and quarters, so there's funding that is contingent on this, so
Yeah.
like, it just shows how important it is to keep building the pot of money here so we can get access to this other stuff, and
Right.
it's time limited, so, yeah.
Yeah, they stressed that exact thing at the meeting this morning, that there's all this money that's been allocated to the project that would go away if they can't find the rest of the funding.
And then the other thing as well is Renee worked to have I-35 agree for a letter of support for the regional solicitation application too. So hopefully that should help.
Yep, we got the drafted already today, and we'll send it up. Or Bolton and Mink actually drafted all of the letters for all of the letters of support for Lakeville, New Prague, Chamber of Commerce, a whole bunch of them, so they've been on top of it and moving forward.
All right. Now we're gonna move into a closed meeting pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.05 subdivision 3C3 to discuss offer for purchase of the real property ID number 239210064. So we'll ask members of the audience to please exit. Thank you.
Also, anybody that is currently participating virtually, they will also need to leave the meeting as well. If you'd like to rejoin the meeting after the closed meeting, you can re-enter the meeting and we'll place you in the waiting room until after the closed meeting is complete.
Reopen the meeting from the closed meeting pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D.05 subdivision 3C3 to discuss offer for purchase of the real property 239210064. And we'll resume with any discussion by council. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Kate, second by Amanda. All those in favor?
Aye.